Rick Spielman, Vikings GM, close to an extension. That means Kirk Cousins, Mike Zimmer, Rick Spielman all get their rewards from last year's berth in the NFL's Final 8. The one guy still waiting is running back Dalvin Cook, Chris, but the other three guys got their extensions. It'll be interesting to see if Cook gets his.
Yeah, well, it will be. I think it's going to be dicey. Maybe they make it a little sweetener or something like that. But it's good to see with Rick Spielman. I mean, it is. I mean, he's done a phenomenal job ever since he's been working in that organization. You know, there hasn't been too many years you can look at the players on that team or that roster and you go, man, they got some major holes. I mean, it's really has not existed. And I know he's only been the GM since when was it, Mike? 2012 or 13? I can't. But before that, he was, I know, the vice president of pro personnel. You know, so when I just look at those things and his long haul there in Minnesota, I go, damn, he knows what pro personnel looks like. And he certainly has drafted well, and they've done a good job in free agency. And, you know, for the most part, I know they're not winning Super Bowls like a Vikings fan would want, but you guys are relevant most years and in the playoff conversation most years. And I do think that counts for something, certainly.
Rick Spielman joined the Vikings in 2006 as the VP of player personnel. They had that strange situation. They created what they called the triangle of authority between the coach, the VP of player personnel, who was Fran Foley at the time, and their contracts guy, Rob Brzezinski.
Right.
And then Fran Foley had some resume issue, and he was gone barely after he got there. That's when Spielman showed up, and he became the GM, as you said, 2012. I mean, he's lasted a long time with the Vikings. And, you know, they have been – we talked about this with Mike Zimmer's contract.
Yeah.
They contend.
Right.
Right? They're kind of on the fringes. They've had 2 years since Spielman's been there where they played in the NFC Championship game, 2009 and 2017. But they've yet to be dominant. And it's hard to tell whether or not they're putting the wheels in motion for a team that could be dominant. But they've constantly been a team that is relevant in December.
Yeah.
You know, that's the key. You could say we want to win the Super Bowl. The key is to be relevant past Thanksgiving, to have teams care about you in the month of December as the playoffs are approaching. Even if you don't make it every year, you're still in the conversation. It seems like every year, except for 2011, every year they've been in the conversation.
Yeah, there's something to be said about that. You know, there's a lot of teams that haven't been crap the last 8-9 years in the NFL. You know, I echoed those same things, Mike. I mean, you know, it's been good defensive football players there. You know, had Adrian Peterson, Teddy Bridgewater, made an appropriate move to get Kirk Cousins because he felt like there was a quarterback issue there. He's drafted well. You know, they've tried their best to keep homegrown talent. Yeah, you're right. They're just missing that piece or two that's gotten them over the edge. But, you know, like you said, I can't really remember a year in December or anything like that where I went, Vikings are in the playoff combo, or Vikings are going to be in the playoffs. Can they make a real serious run? Yeah, most years I've said no. I go, I don't think they can make a serious run, but they're a playoff team. And that's kind of how I look at them right now, I guess. I don't look at you guys as a Super Bowl contender. I think you're kind of in a semi-rebuild on the run type thing where I go, playoffs, yes. Deep in the playoffs, I don't know if I can get my head around that there in Minnesota quite yet right now.
What's this you guys crap?
You guys. Your team, baby. Your team. That's why you asked for the purple backgrounds, right? Here at NBC, you were like, I'm a Vikings fan. I want a little purple mixed in.
Hey, here's the thing. In an alternate universe, the Vikings lost to the Saints in the wild card round last year. I wonder if those extensions are all handed out if the Vikings had lost that game to the Saints.
That is it. Very interesting. And just how much that game, you know, I just remember going into the 49ers game, I couldn't get over how many people then swayed their, I think the Vikings are going to beat San Francisco that weekend too. I was shocked at the amount of people that kind of jumped on the bandwagon since they beat the Saints. But yeah, I certainly think that made the extension conversation a little easier in the fact that they won another playoff game this past year.
And on that point, Dalvin Cook had a pretty big role in that playoff game. He had 94 yards rushing against the Saints and 2 touchdowns and 36 receiving. That's 130 from scrimmage. So I think the fact that Cousins and Zimmer and Spielman have all gotten theirs is only going to make Cook more intent. And I've heard nothing to substantiate this, but it won't shock me if he opts out. It won't, if they're not going to give him his contract. Now, look, it doesn't really help him. All it does is press pause until next year when he'd be getting $1.3 million, same salary he'd get this year. But the Vikings going to have to go forward without him this year.
Well,
period.
You guys are. I don't mean to keep saying you guys, but I'm going to keep saying it. I mean, so I'm just looking salary cap wise right now. I know you were up against it, 25th in football as of Spot Track right now. You know, just with the Dalvin Cook situation, I'm with you. I hear nothing to think that he's going to get a long-term extension. But, you know, I would hope at the very least, you know, maybe they can find a way to do like what the 49ers did with Raheem Mostert. Something, you know, just a little sweetener. I don't know what those terms were, but a little sweetener, some maybe very attainable, you know, goals as far as, oh, you get 800 yards rushing, you get $500,000. You know, you get 1,000 yards rushing, you get $1 million or $1.5 million. You know, that would be the kind of thing I would look to do for a guy like Dalvin Cook if I was running the Vikings.
The fact that we still don't know what the Mostert terms are underscores the fact that it's probably not a real good deal for the player. But we'll see what happens. I mean, that's the thing to watch as the day unfolds. Will they get the deal done between the league and the union? And when will the opt-out deadline be? Because the teams don't like the fact that some agents are using that opt-out deadline, that possibility to walk away for the season, as leverage to get these deals. And I think Dalvin Cook, if we're going to make a list of guys who should be considering it, Dalvin Cook should be at the top of the list at $1.3 million for this year. Hey, maybe I do opt out if you're not going to give me the contract that I've earned, capped by what I did to help the team win the playoff game in New Orleans against the Saints. It's you know, every day. It's amazing how much is going on, Chris, and we're going to keep everybody on top of all the ins and outs at ProFootballTalk.com. But you know, even though it's not a real training camp, it feels like it's busier than ever with all the different stuff that's going on as we try to figure out what's going to happen.
Yeah, no, I know. I mean, I think that's going to dominate our conversation. We don't have preseason games to talk about. I'm not going to be able to break down preseason film and tell you, you know, what rookie looks good or anything like that. So I think it's going to be all this. Just, you know, where's it go? This team's doing that. The NFL's juggling this, and here's the new protocol for testing, whatever it may be. I think that's the time we're in right now. We'll be talking about this stuff a lot.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.